I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll first select the moderators and the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and call the roll.
Okay, just before we get into the roll call, just a couple of things. Everybody was sent a new set of the bylaws that weren't updated. We just resent them to everyone. That included also the meeting rules. So just important to note for everyone, the bylaws adopted by this body include meeting rules that require, if you're participating remotely, that you must be on camera when you're, at least when you're speaking and voting. So I just wanted to note that. We also wanted to ask the Outlook invitation to go out for RSVPs, if everyone could respond to Tricia on the RSVP. And if you're going to be virtual, note for her that you'll be virtual. It's a great help to us as we set up the meeting. I appreciate that. Okay, with attendance. So from the city of Ansonia, we have Mayor Tishka is remote and I understand he has the flu.
Yeah, and I didn't want to spread around because I like you guys, so I'm not there. If I didn't like you, I'd be there.
First Selectman Smith from Beacon Falls is not able to join us today. First Selectman Buckus, who we met with yesterday from Bethlehem, had scheduled something on Fridays. He's changing his schedule to accommodate this meeting. That's next one. From the town of Cheshire, Assistant Town Manager Andrew Martelli.
Here.
That's in the room. City of Derby could not be with us today. There's something going on in the event. From the town of Middlebury, First Select Person Martin.
Present.
Thank you. From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Sure.
From the town of Oxford, online, we have First Selectman Temple, I believe.
Yes, he'll be here shortly. I'm attending until he arrives.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, so we'll just note Chris and Rosa now. And then from the town of Plymouth online, we also have Mayor Sikorsky.
Here, unplanned. Sorry, wanted to be there, couldn't make it.
Okay, appreciate it. From the town of Prospect, Mayor Chatfield.
Here.
Thank you. From the town of Seymour, First Select Person Dragonis. She's with us.
She's there.
She's having a conversation. From Gil. Don't know where We haven't heard from Meryl already. There's him.
Apologize.
From the town of South. I'm sorry. Did I hear?
You too.
Oh,
I said I apologize.
Emery, oh. From the town of Southbury, first selectman O'Neill.
Here.
We're also joined, I'll just note today, an old friend from Southbury, John O'Neill, is with us, former alternate and participant in the COG. From the town of Thomaston, first selectman Soleo was not able to join us today. He will on a regular basis. Mayor Pernaruski supposed to be with us, but he's got bigger things and bigger fish to fry this week, as we all know. Town manager Ramo, is he online?
No.
No, she's
We're expecting Mayor Dunn from Wolcott. And then from Woodbury, first selectman Zolko.
here.
Thank you, sir. We're also joined today by Jim Nardozzi from Waterbury Development Corp. Who's online with us. Jennifer Brady from Federal Highway Administration. Oh, I skipped over, I'm sorry. I skipped over Bristol.
So outrageous.
It's okay.
Well, we'll just hope for the record. Very good.
Very remarkable.
I know, I marked them all, very sorry the list. Okay, and we also have online, I said Jennifer Brady from Federal Highways. I don't, do I see anyone do DOT?
No, unless Matt is online.
I just see Matt. From the Kennedy Collective, Meg Hafner is online with us, and in the room, we're joined by Representative Seth Bronco. With that, Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present for both bodies.
All right, thank you, Rick. We'll proceed to public comment. Anyone in the room or on Zoom that would like to make a public comment? Any requests for?
No, we didn't receive any requests online.
All right, last call for public comment. Okay, we'll move to the CNVMPO meeting. And Rich, you're gonna give us an introduction to federal transportation plan.
I will. Although I didn't know Federal Highway Administration was going to be here, and so now I'm feeling the pressure a little bit.
Do not stress. Do not stress.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Before we start, I'll just note, State Representative Jensen is also online with us. I just posted there.
Very, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so at last month's meeting, I know we said a lot of, we'll tell you more about this in December. And so we decided to organize this a bit more clearly for you. We're going to be covering each of the major planning divisions one at a time over the next several months at these meetings. And so today we'll start with the introduction to transportation planning, the work that we do as an MPO, the work that we do as a COG, the difference between the two entities and why we split them apart like this, and what we're able to do for all of you. So just to quickly cover, for the federal transportation side, we're going to talk a little bit about the federal planning dollars and how that funds our programming and the work that we do. We'll talk about the metropolitan transportation plans that help guide the long-range vision for our region, the transportation improvement program that lists out the active projects and the control that you are all able to exercise over how federal money gets spent in the region. We'll go through the federal planning process a little bit, some of the work that our team here does to ensure that we are compliant with federal guidelines, as well as that we're moving the region forward and working towards a well-coordinated set of goals. And lastly, I'll touch on the MAP Forum, or the Metropolitan Area Planning Forum, which is a voluntary association of MPOs and COGs from the 4-state region around New York City. So you'll see up here on the screen, we've shown this slide at the last few meetings. We'll continue to show it for the next few as well. The Naugatuck Valley region is actually split among 2 MPOs. And so the 15 northern towns of the region are part of the Central Naugatuck Valley MPO. The 4 lower valley towns, Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, and Shelton, are part of the Greater Bridgeport and Valley MPO, along with the 6 towns of the Metropolitan COG region. And so what this does a couple of things for us. or it means a couple of things for us. The first is that we have these meetings, we start with the MPO meeting. In that MPO meeting, which is specifically the CNVMPO meeting, it is only those 15 northern towns who have the opportunity to vote for these items. The 4 lower valley towns, along with the 6 MetroCog towns, have bi-monthly meetings that are both virtual and at the MetroCog office right before the MetroCog monthly meeting. And so for the most part, the issues that are considered at the CNVMPO are also considered at the GBVMPO. Certain projects do not cross both territories and may not necessarily be brought forward to both entities. But all of the major federal planning work that we do is done for both organizations. And that does mean that our team does the same work that we do for the CNVMPO, we also do in coordination with MetroCog for the GBVMPO towns. And just to touch briefly on the federal planning dollars. So that is, we receive directly federal planning dollars through the CONDOT for the CNVMPO, and we set up we have a recurring relationship with MetroCog. And every year we sign it, or every 2-year cycle for federal dollars, we sign an agreement with them regarding our funding related to the 4 valley towns. So just, very briefly, the MPO exists as pretty much a direct response to the federal highway program of the mid last century. We know that towns and cities didn't have a lot of say over how federal money was being spent in their regions and in their towns, and that local officials were sometimes left out of those decisions. And so MPOs were established at the federal level to ensure that all of you as the local elected officials have a say over how federal transportation investments go within your towns and within our region. And so we do that in a couple of ways. The Metropolitan Transportation Plan is one of the more significant, and the next item is the most direct control that you all have. But the Metropolitan Transportation Plan requires us to lay out a vision for the next 20 or more years for what our region will look like. And so in doing so, we take a very in-depth look at the problems that we know exist on our roads. We do this through both data and through conversations with all of you, with stakeholders, with the public. We come up with a series of goals and targets to address the problems that we've identified and a strategy to implement. We also have to put together a fiscally constrained project listing to advance those goals. As you can imagine, projecting federal funding levels for 20 years is really difficult. So these are, outside of the first 4-year period, they can get pretty theoretical. But we certainly do our best to understand the direction the federal policy is going and make some meaningful guesses. We do this in really close collaboration with CONDOT. And of course, for the lower valley towns, we do it in collaboration with MetroCog as well. Because we're a small state and because we share urban areas, so the Census Bureau defined urban areas with a number of other COGs and MPOs, we also do this in coordination across the 9 COGs and the 8 MPOs in the state. And just one last quick note, and I apologize, Desiree, I looked at you to change the slide. So we last adopted an MTP in the spring of 2023. We have just begun the process of doing the update to this, and we'll be adopting the next version in the spring of 2027. So these have to be updated every 4 years, even though it's a 20-year plan. Joanna, who you'll all meet shortly if you don't know already, has begun the work of planning the next update to this document. All right, so the transportation improvement programs. This is where you have the most direct control. So the transportation improvement program, or the TIP, is the actual fiscally constrained listing of projects that are expected to receive any federal funding over the 4-year period of this document. Anytime, so here in Connecticut, CONDOT spends most of the federal money. Anytime CONDOT wants to spend $1 of federal money, they need your approval to do so if it's within this region. And so at every meeting, we bring forward, or at most meetings, we have TIP amendments that we bring forward. Those amendments are the actual implementation plan for those projects. They do require your approval in order to move forward. And we have, at very few occasions, but we have said no to projects and had CONDOT have to change the direction that they plan to go. There are other entities that can be direct recipients of federal dollars and do end up programming projects into the TIP. We have done so as an agency ourselves a few times, receiving direct awards from either FTA or Federal Highway Administration. The city of Waterbury, in receiving a raise grant, has also been a project sponsor here within the tip. So we maintain 2 tips, as we do with most of this federal work. The CNVMPO and the GBVMPO each have separate project listings. Most projects, or many projects, will work across those 2 regional boundaries, but some do not, and so they're not always exactly the same. The QR code on the screen goes to the Eco Interactive portal that we maintain for the CNVMPO. The MetroCog maintains a similar portal for the GBVMPO. This is a real-time listing of all of the projects with information about their current status, their full funding breakdown, their location gets mapped, and then any other information that CONDOT or the project sponsor has provided to us that we can share publicly. We moved to this platform just a bit more than a year and a half ago as a way to better share the projects and information about what's happening in the region with the public, but also with you. It gives us a much better format within which we can put this information together and share directly. We're happy to answer questions about Eco Interactive if you have them. We also maintain the LOTSIP program in this platform, which we'll talk about when we get to the COG meeting. So the federal planning process, this really guides a lot of the work that we do. You know, most of the transportation planning side of things is very prescriptive. And we are working within a pretty tight regulatory bound within the CFR and US code, as well as here within the state. So you'll see on the screen here a number of documents that we have to prepare that all work pretty closely together. So most importantly, like I started with the MTP, that long-term vision. Everything we do in the shorter range is designed to help advance the goals that we lay out in that MTP. And the tip is the actual implementation plan for the short-term number of those projects. Also up here, so the leftmost document is the congestion management process. So in all of the planning work that we do, we are constantly monitoring the system for places where efficiency is lost through congestion and making decisions designed to help improve those issues. Here in Connecticut, we don't have a lot of room or appetite for major highway expansion. This often looks like alternative modes of transportation, public transit, active transportation. It can look like travel demand management and programs similar to those offered by the CT Rides program and some of the other work that CONDOT does, as well as the integration of intelligent transportation systems. So then you'll see the 4th document over, the one with the red circle on it. That is our public participation plan. We are required to maintain a public participation plan that lays out very specifically how we involve the public in the work that we're doing, where they have opportunities to comment, how those comments are transmitted to all of you before you make decisions on any of these documents, as well as how the public can go about requesting information or complaining about what they feel may be a lack of transparency in the process. We last did a public transportation plan, a public participation plan update this year. I knew it was recent. I couldn't remember how recent. And Desiree and her team did a very, really effective outreach strategy, I think, in putting this plan together. The next document over with the blue circle, that is our Title VI plan, or our non-discrimination plan. As a federal funding recipient, we are required to maintain an active Title VI plan at all times. The next document, the second from right, that is our Unified Planning Work Program. So this is the document that lays out the structure by which we will do this planning. This is effectively the plan for planning. Every 2 years, we put together a new UPWP. And this document specifically ties in how we are going to comply with the federal and state regulations around our work. Along with this document comes our agreements with CONDOT to provide that federal planning funding to the regions. And lastly, the document on the right here, the one with the gray circle on it. This is our most recent performance measure or performance target setting exercise. So as an MPO, we are required to adopt and track progress towards 26 performance measures established by USDOT. For the most part, these targets are set at the state level, and we endorse those statewide targets. We know that there's a lot of interaction between regions. We're a small region and a small state geographically. And so in general, we've chosen to endorse the statewide target. For this year, for next calendar year, we have chosen to adopt our own safety targets, a regional specific safety target for the CNVMPO. The GBVMPO did endorse the statewide target. Importantly, this was not intended to be a rebuke of CONDOT's methodology or targets, but rather a way for us to more closely monitor the progress on the system here in our region. I also want to make mention, this is one area we disagree with the language a little bit. We use the word target because that is the Federal Register language that we're supposed to use here. So I think it's really important we highlight, and we'll talk about this in the COG transportation planning meeting, that our goal is always 0. We are working very hard to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries on roads across the region. But the target setting methodology is based on a statistical analysis of past performance and future expected conditions. And so we can't just go in and say that 0 is the target until we can demonstrate that we've made progress towards that. All of these documents ultimately are designed to work together to advance those goals that are laid out in the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. And very importantly, we do this, we follow the 3 C's of federal transportation planning. So this process is continuing. We are constantly referring back to the way that these documents work together and continuing that work in all of our future planning work. It is collaborative. And so none of this work happens alone. We never do any of this stuff ourselves. We're working very closely, of course, with all of you, but also with our partners at CONDOT, with DEEP, with the Federal Highway and Federal Transportation Administration level, to ensure that we're all pulling in the same direction and trying to advance the common goals for the region. And it is comprehensive. So we're never doing this looking at one particular issue or one particular location. We are doing everything, considering all of the potential impact and the problems in the system. And so along those lines of being collaborative and comprehensive, I want to introduce the MAP Forum, or the Metropolitan Planning Area Forum. The MAP Forum is a voluntary association of COGs and MPOs in the 4 states that immediately surround New York City. It is 6 COGs here in Connecticut, 2 entities in New York, the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, and Lehigh Valley Planning Commission out in Pennsylvania. We come together, so we have monthly planning meetings, but we have 2 annual meetings, a spring meeting that focuses on Connecticut or Pennsylvania, and an annual meeting in December, usually in December, that focuses on New York and New Jersey. We also have working groups. So there's a resiliency working group looking at transportation resiliency across the 4 states, a freight working group looking at issues with mobility of goods through this region, which we know is often a real constraint for us. And we are just about to establish a core products working group that will make sure that our metropolitan transportation plans, our transportation improvement programs, and our target setting is aligned across the 4 states, at least these regions within those 4 states. So again, so that we're all pulling in the same direction and trying to solve for the same problems.
Good.
So that's the introduction to federal planning. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we're about to exercise one of these in a minute.
All right, so before I allow questions for the newer members, there's no test or quiz on this process, so you can absorb it as you go. But having said that, does anyone have any questions for Rich?
I do not. Nope.
Okay, good.
Please feel free at any time if they come up. We're always happy to answer and work with you on them.
So we have one tip amendment today.
We do, yes. So like I said, and just as an important reminder, you all do have control directly over what CONDOT can and cannot do with federal money, or what any project sponsor can and cannot do with federal money. This is the actual implementation of that. In voting for these tip amendments, you are modifying the Transportation Improvement Program, which also rolls up into the statewide Transportation Improvement Program, and determines what they can and cannot actually do. So we have one tip amendment today.
If I might, Mr. Chairman, so just to stress that point, that is a real thing. That's not, we don't just say it because that's the way the law is written. We've done it. We have not funded projects that CONDOT has come and asked for with federal funds. We've denied them in the past. We've asked them to come back with more information. We've asked them to come back with better plans. But it does happen. So if it's something that maybe is not on our radar, but you have a specific concern in your town, you need to let us know. You need to let transportation planning staff know so that we can look into this and get all the information you need to make a decision on funding the project. Sorry.
No, that's a good point. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. So we have one project amendment today. This project is related to the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, or the NEVI program, and CONDOT's implementation of that program. We're going to be adding this new project 170-3795, which allows for the release of federal funding to local entities and to private developers for the installation of electric vehicle chargers along the state's alternative fuel corridors, which right now are Interstate 84, Interstate 95, Interstate 395, and Route 7. And so this program is funding the installation of electric vehicle chargers within 1 mile of interchanges on those systems. You'll see up here, there's a local match listed that is coming mostly from private entities. That is not a direct town local match in any of our towns here in this region. And so I'm happy to answer any questions. We did post this through the Eco Interactive portal more than a week ago and have received no comments from the public on it.
Is there a proposed resolution?
Yes.
All right, anyone want to move to adopt this resolution?
So move, Prospect.
Okay, we have a second,
I'll second it.
second from Salisbury. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sure.
Yes,
But he does note for the record, prior to the transportation, MPO meeting commencing, Mayor Dunn had joined us online and Mayor Moretti has joined us.
thank you. All right, so let's go to minutes for approval. Prospect?
Go ahead.
It's just a motion.
Second.
Second from Shelton. Any questions on the minutes?
And just one question procedurally, new members can't vote on these, right, because we weren't members at the time of the last meeting, or?
You can abstain if you want.
If we read them though, could we vote on them?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, there's always a misconception that if you're not at the meeting, you can't vote on something. That's why we take minutes and that's why these things are on YouTube, so.
Yep.
all right.
Yeah, sure, please.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right. Financial report, Michael.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is the financial report for period ending October 31st. So in June, the board adopted a $21.7 million total budget and just over a $5 million operating budget. So as of October, we are 33% through the year.
Okay.
Our budget to actual is 32% with a current surplus of 220,000, which is primarily due to the front loading piece. Our expenses and general administrative is 26% budget to actual. There haven't been any funding cuts. We're still pending a couple contracts. Still waiting on the federal fiscal year 2 funds from NOAA. And we did just get word, so those not in October, in January 1, we have up to $400,000 available for housing and regional waste authority and or stormwater activities. We expect to be receiving the funds in February. And then next slide, please. And just, especially as we have some new board members, but I created this visual to give you guys an idea of, for our operating budget, how it looks. So right now, half of it is, or 44% is about federal government. Other 44% is state government, and we got 10% local. Out of the federal government, the biggest piece is the UPWP. So that's kind of what Rich was talking about with the planning dollars. It is an 80-10-10 split, 80% Fed, 10 state, 10 local. And as you can see, it makes up about 20% of the federal revenue. 20% of our total revenue, 24% of the federal. And then the state. So it's RSG, that's the other big source. So that's regional service grant. That's to help provide services to all of our member municipalities. Here, traditionally, it makes up about 16%, but that additional $4,000, $400,000 gives us like another 8% of our budget, which is great. And then on the right side here is just a breakdown of the operating expenses, primarily salary, wages, fringe benefits, and then it kind of flows as follows: IT, rent, utilities, supplies. I kind of wanted to give you all that visual to to help you understand
If I may, Mike.
the actual.
So, the orientation meetings we've been doing with towns, you may see this as a different pie chart than the ones we've presented, when we've gone out on our visits. That pie chart is based on 2020
25, the actual,
FY
FY
25 actual.
25 actual.
So percentages were different then. It was, I believe, like close to 60% federal.
Yeah,
And about 30% was, I'm sorry, 35% was state, and it was about 5 or 6% was other governmental, including your local dues. So it changes from year to year. But the state has increased its commitment to the COGS, and that's reflected in this budget. And in the most recent result of the special session.
no, thank you.
All right, questions for Michael? Do we have a motion to accept his report?
So moved.
Prospect,
Woodbury.
would be with a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Audit committee,
Thank you. So just wanted to give you an update on the audit committee meeting that happened last week. So the audit committee met on the 8th, with our auditors, King Associates. We're close to wrapping up the audit. We're aiming to get the final report in, or by the end of the month, and we may be submitting in January. We do have through the end of March to actually get everything into the federal, on the federal side. There have been 3 main changes. One, there has been new federal guidance, software, and methodology that had just been released at the end of October for the federal single audit. So that's going to come with just some new testing and things of that nature. There are some rent implications. So this affects more the government-wide financial statements, where it doesn't affect the bottom line. It's how they reflect rent as a long-term liability. Because we are moving buildings and don't have a current lease, there's going to be a write-off on that. And then it'll kind of correct itself in the following years. And then the third thing is there was new guidance for reporting on compensated absences, which is a little bit more involved than it has been in the past. Again, this just impacts the government-wide financial statements and not the bottom line. But essentially it's what we expect to spend in the next year, and they want to kind of, it's broken out by employee, it's a percentage associated with it. And the final thing that we went over was the releasing an RFQ for the audit. This is their 5th and final year of our current agreement with the auditors. So the audit committee will be reconvening in January, one, to go over the audit report, but also to review the RFQ for audit services and potentially release it in January to select a new auditor. As we have to make the appointment by May 1st to OPM. Other than that, there are no major impact to my year-end projections, was about an $8,000 surplus for 2025. And there haven't been any deficiencies found thus far anyways, but so other than that, everything else is in good standing.
right, so the actual decision is made by the audit committee, which is the executive board. So this will go back there, but if anyone has a comment or a thought or would like to make a point here, please feel free to do so. So are there any thoughts, comments, suggestions for Michael?
I just have one question unrelated to the audit. Is the reporting period for the COG different than for municipalities?
What do you mean?
Well, our audits are due on December 31st.
Yeah, so the state,
The state, yeah.
state is 31st, federal.
Right, okay.
All right, any further questions? All right, let's proceed to the director's report.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, some housekeeping things. As you're all aware, we're scheduled to have a holiday get together this afternoon, which we canceled in consultation with the restaurant because of the water situation in Waterbury. We couldn't be certain that the boil water order would have been lifted and restaurants could legally be open in Waterbury today. So it turned out they can, but it was it was not a position we wanted to.
There's plenty of Waterbury and Waterbury right now. Look outside.
I know, it's everywhere. I got caught in it 3 times. But our plan is to schedule it for January 16th, following this meeting. So Patricia will be back in touch with all of you, but if you can, please, we really need an RSVP if you're gonna attend or not, so that we can make the arrangements. We did, today's a shorter meeting. We purposely did this on purpose. There's no presenter today. We were trying to get everyone out of here early to go to the luncheon. So it will be a short meeting. We don't have a presentation today from community planning. They will take the lead spot next month that Rich did, explaining transportation planning. Next month, community planning will explain sort of a primer on what they do and how they do it and what services we provide. Also, Patricia has distributed to all of your offices and your assistants a spreadsheet for each of your towns, asking you to fill in your appointees or people that are serving in certain positions in your community, or that you're going to make new appointments for. So if you can fill those out and get those back to her, that would be really helpful. We've scheduled the orientation meetings for the most part. I think we have most of them nailed down. We've done 2 already for new CEOs. The meetings have gone about 2 hours with good conversation. We had a meeting in Bethlehem yesterday, and we met with Thomas previously. Very involved, but very good meetings. Some of what you're getting here in the larger presentations we're covering in those meetings, but they've been productive. We have 3 more scheduled, I believe, or 2 more scheduled to go. And we don't have to go to Bristol. The mayor has been through this before, so. So I just want to let you know where we are with that. On referencing back to the financial report, the full financial reports are in your written packet, the documents. The NOAA grant, the notice on there, I just wanted to update everyone. That's the Kinneytown Dam Removal Grant. That's through NOAA, which is under the Commerce Department. We have a contract. I think I noted this last month. We have not received Congress didn't obligate the funding for FY, or the administration didn't obligate the funding for FY25 before the government closed in October. We've been working through the intergovernmental offices with the Trump appointees in Commerce, also at EPA, who has gone to bat for us on this. And so they're talking about it. I'm very hopeful. I expect they're going to release the funds and obligate the full amount of the remaining contract. I don't know if they'll do it before the federal government will probably shut down again in January. It's unlikely, it seems unlikely to me at least, that they'll put a funding plan in place to keep the government going beyond the current funded deadline. So, but I would expect after the Congress comes back, after the government comes back, that we would have a solution for that. And I didn't want to misspeak. Congress does not need to act. It's the government itself. So with that, the executive board meeting was held along with the audit committee, as Michael discussed. According to the bylaws, the chair must appoint a nominating committee for election of officers. Terms are up now, and in January the new terms begin. So the mayor Hess, as chair, appointed a nominating committee that consists of Mayor Dunn as the chair, Mayor Pernaruski, and Mayor Tishka. So those, they're going to come back with a nominating report for the January meeting, and election of officers will be on the January meeting agenda. If you have an interest, I encourage all of you to either email Mayor Dunn directly, or you can send that interest to Patricia or I, and we'll forward it on to Mayor Dunn and get that information in front of him. The relocation, nothing really new to report here. We're on schedule. Michael's working with a committee of staff to get us into that space, completing our obligations to move in. We expect to move in March. We've already been granted the ability to use the parking facility over there. And we're right on schedule. I don't think we're gonna have a problem.
Just
Sure.
what's the address?
It's known as One Exchange Place. Does anyone know the street? 20 West Main. 20 West Main? Okay, 21 West Main. It's known as One Exchange Place. For those of you who go back in time, it's the old, bank, on the corner of the green, which went through, I think, CMB originally, and then Fleet, Shawmut, all those. And it's been empty for a number of years. Or partially empty. The city will be our landlord, City of Waterbury is our landlord there. Any other questions about the relocations and move? We did, you should note that we have budgeted a deficit, in our current budget, drawing down fund balance, to cover the cost of some of the move, the cost associated with the move. We had anticipated up to what, 300,000, like? 250. 250. So, I don't know where we think we are on that target. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I didn't ask you about this before.
Right now, it's still on target. We're still waiting for a couple quotes to come in, IT wise for security, IT fit up, running wires, things like that, and stuff. Fiber, that's
The fiber.
I mean, outside of that, I mean, it's still at the 250 number. Hopefully in next month, we'll have a better idea. There's other areas where we're gonna try to, if things do go over in some areas, we'll wait till the following year to maybe get new desks.
But it was, when we adopted the budget, it was a one-time capital expenditure, so we adopted it from fund balance for the one-time capital expenditure. It will show up as deficit to the extent that there's the regular budget performs evenly. Let's say that we have a level revenue and income projection. That money, because it's already ours, will show up as deficit spending in the audit. Legislative, I haven't received anything from any of the CEOs. If you have any priorities for the upcoming short session, we're interested. Drew and I are the ones who track the legislative. We work with our advocacy firm in Hartford. I think the only thing that I would expect is that we will work on as a region, if that would be any fixes or repairs to the housing bill. Anything that we identify. So, and just to follow up on that from last month, no change from the basic descriptions I gave you last month about how we see the bill and what we see as the impact. We're still working on the working group of the 9 COGs are working on distilling the bill down. Our anticipation is that somewhere in the middle of January, we will have sort of a CEO primer for this, just a short version of what the bill does, what it does to your town, what to anticipate. We'll have a full document and analysis of the bill available for you and your commissioners and other municipal officials, probably by the end of January. And then we intend to hold working sessions for commissioners and city officials around the state, jointly with some of the other regions. They'll be online and in person. On how to implement. And then for us as a region, the regional plan and any municipal plans have to be adopted by 2029. That's our deadline for the new targets. And just to review quickly, the way the targets get set, OPM and the COGs will agree on what the statewide number will be, and then we'll set the regional numbers from the statewide number, all targets, no requirements, just goals. And then the COGs, meaning all of you, presumably with staff input, will decide how we're gonna allocate within the region. So we'll get to that number. It'll be this body that makes that decision. And then once we finalize the plan, we'll file the plan back with OPM for their review. But we'll have much more detail for you in January. And I think Savannah Nicole, when she's gonna be doing the community planning review next month, she'll also have probably a lot more information about the housing bill then. She's co-chairing the working group of the statewide working COGs, working on that.
So is it assumed that this group will recommend to the legislature something be done with the 830G impediment?
Well, Yeah, I mean, I think we should make it an agenda item for us anyway, to that, I think. Personally, my personal recommendation, and we could talk more about this and why and what, but I think that what I advocated for during the discussions prior to the special session was that while we're in this process, while it's adopted, 830G should go into suspension until we adopt the state, the regional plans, until we, because we don't want to create that leverage over the towns in this interim period where developers are just going to rush in and file applications like crazy. I would anticipate that's going to happen relatively soon. It's
Well,
already happening.
And yeah, and if they're not doing it, they're gonna certainly do it if they don't get their way, even when we adopt the plan, so.
But, and it's a long road to actually having an adopted plan and the ability to be in compliance and therefore not subject to 830G. So, it's an important point. I think it didn't get enough attention. It didn't get enough serious attention. But I would like to, it's something I think we could advance, as a goal for the region, and, I think we could probably, talk with Cost and CCM about making it a municipal position statewide.
Yeah, I also think that it'll be important for chief elected officials, particularly the ones in this room, to start talking to their state reps about it and state senators. Cause that's where it starts. They have the ability to change it. They've got everybody behind the 8 ball on this, so.
I mean, no guarantee, as I said earlier, I suspect there will be a small bill to make repairs to things that were drafted, not so well. And like I said, I've said this before, it was not the intention of the drafters. We really have less capacity in the General Assembly and the Legislative Commissioner's Office and in the OLR than we have historically had. Bills just tend to come out with a little less precision over the last couple of sessions. So I think there will be a fixed bill, and I think that might be the opportunity to talk about 830G.
Just to be more specific, was Mayor Loretti's question, we are going to take a position on 830G separate and apart from everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's up to you, but yes.
Well, but that's the,
Well, that would be important. I couldn't agree more.
okay.
We'll put it on the agenda for the next executive committee so we can hash it out in detail.
Yeah.
And we'll look at putting a proposal together.
All right. Any questions for Rick? All right, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Rich, you have a big day today. We're going right back to you.
Well, like I said, we're kind of two pieces, unlike most of the agency, so. Now that we've gone through all of the federal planning, we'll talk a little bit about our role here in transportation planning as a COG. So unlike the last piece, which was, we're two separate entities doing the same work, but in separate ways for the 15 town CNVMPO and 4-town VMPO regions. This is the work that we do across the board for all 19 towns. And so I'd like to start by just giving my team an opportunity to introduce themselves. They are the ones who really make all of this happen. So I'll start with Joanna Rogalski, who's one of our senior planners.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your attention and time right now. So my name is Joanna Rogalski, and I work as a senior transportation planner with Rich. So my work actually focuses on 3 areas. Number 1, transit, and that includes public transportation and dial-a-ride or paratransit, all those kinds of services that help people who are either disabled or getting up in years, senior citizens. The other part, as Rich alluded to earlier, is federal compliance. And for me, and in the next year, that means the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Rich had mentioned it needs to be adopted by 2026. Next year, seeing more presentations by me and our team on our progress toward that goal. And finally, data. Data, we're talking about transportation data, the collection of it, the analyzing it, and the interpretation of it, making sure that it's meaningful and useful to all of you and your staff. So with that said, I'm going to introduce 2 other people that I work with in these 3 areas. First of all, Itayo Olale.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tayo Olale. I'm a transportation planner, research and data analysis. So you need information about traffic movement by vehicles, by persons, by pedestrians, or people who use bicycles. I'm the person who talked to. Thank you very much.
And the other person, our other.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anthony Lagana. I work as a transportation planner here at NVCOG. I started in June of this year. I also work on data analysis and spatial analysis, so things like roadway data and mapping and things of that nature. I also work on transit planning with Joanna, elements of environmental review and things like that as we're trying to build bus shelters and all those kinds of improvement projects. I also contribute to some of the community planning team's work, working on our regional plan conservation and development. So I try to kind of diversify myself a little and look forward to working with you all.
Collaborative, that's what we try to be, absolutely. And I'm gonna give it over to Katie.
Thank you, Joanna. Good morning, everyone, and welcome board members. My name is Kate Pipa, and I am a senior transportation planner here at NVCOG. I want to introduce some of the other folks on our team. Kevin Ellis, who is a senior engineer, and then the newest member to our team who was just hired, Shahadat Hussain, who is a transportation engineer. So welcome, Shahadat.
Thank you.
So we also focus on three general areas: roadway safety, comprehensive planning, and general engineering support. So through roadway safety, we can provide several different services and products for you folks, and we'll be talking more about these, I'm sure, in the coming months. We can run crash analysis videos for serious or fatal crashes, as well as provide technical memos to you if you want us to go out to a crash site and do some data collection and recommendations. We have just started running road safety audits, which we completed one for Waterbury this past year, and we're almost done with the second, which is kind of morphed into a larger product, more like a corridor study, which we can also produce. So those are a bit more about those products. I'm happy to answer questions for you or work with you on any of those things with our team. Secondly, we do comprehensive planning. So we provide a liaison to different plans that are happening, such as the regional plan of conservation and development, as well as the comprehensive economic development strategy. Transportation is a vital part of those plans, so we are a liaison for that, as well as our hazard mitigation plan. And then lastly, we do general engineering support. We can review plans for you. We do review plans through COMDOT for our region. Always happy to do that. We administer LOPSIC. Kevin is our local expert on that. And we will talk a bit more about that. I believe Rich will do that in a moment, as well as our focus on active transportation. We are a liaison to the COMDOT. Right now, they are putting together the first statewide active transportation plan, as well as they do have a Safe Routes to School program, which we work closely with. So we are happy to be a liaison to those programs for you. We focus on safety in our region and our Vision Zero goal. Thank you.
And then we have one last area leader in our team who unfortunately also has the flu this week and so is unable to be here today. But that is Nicole Sullivan. So Nicole runs our TOD program and our TOD planning efforts. She works very closely in collaboration with the team over at the Connecticut Municipal Development Authority, or CMDA, as well as across the agency here to advance our efforts around growing the population, specifically around our existing transportation assets, as well as expanding the transportation assets to make sense based on where the population truly is. And so, Kate alluded to this a little bit, but our number one focus in absolutely everything we do is roadway safety. It is the top thing we think about. It is the last thing we check for in every document. And so first, I am very excited to show off this image here in the bottom left. This as part of our broader Vision Zero efforts, we have been branding ourselves as NVision Zero, trying to be clever with our name. But this logo was put together by Desiree in our communications team. We are extremely appreciative for her and her work. We think it captures exactly what we're trying to convey here as a region, putting together a full strategy around this. And in the bottom right is the material from the Vision Zero network, just showing the difference between the traditional approach to roadway safety and the new Vision Zero approach. So Vision Zero is originally a concept of Sweden from the early 90s. And at its core, its most fundamental belief is that roadway fatalities and serious injuries are not inevitable, that we do not have to accept them as a part of our transportation system, and that we should not accept them as part of our transportation system. And so in all of the work that we're doing, rather than trying to build a system where every driver has to be right every time, we know that people will make mistakes. And so we're building a system that accommodates those mistakes and minimizes the damage when they happen. Like Kate said, we have a robust set of offerings around roadway safety. We are excited to work with all of you on this as we work towards zero across the board here in our region. And so just briefly, Kate and Joanna touched on many of these, including roadway safety, transit planning, and TOD. Tayo touched on data collection and reporting. So we are always happy to provide any data that you may need to help make informed decisions within your communities. Most importantly, though, I think everything we do here, we are here for technical assistance for you. Anything that you might need from us, we're happy to provide or figure out how to if we are unable to. We've been building a team here in-house that is really capable. And so we're doing a lot more of this work ourselves and are happy to provide those same services back to you. And then lastly is that coordination with federal and state partners. We have very strong relationships with PennDOT, with the Federal Highway Administration and FTA, and or Federal Transit Administration. So if there's anything that we can help you advance that you're interested in your communities, we are happy to work on it. Especially between, we know it's sometimes challenging to know who to go to, an agency of that size and of that scope. And so we're always happy to help coordinate that relationship.
So Rich, why don't you tell our new members a little more about LOTSIP? Because of all the things you mentioned,
Yeah,
that could help them the most.
I do have I have it in the deck in a little bit here, but I will mention now. So LOTSIP is probably the only funding program where you as the recipients are also the decision makers about how the funding gets spent. So LOTSIP is the Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program. It is a state bonded program. So it is all state dollars that fund this program. Those dollars go to ConnDOT. They get split evenly among the 9 regions in the state based on our urban populations. And then the COGs are then responsible for administering that program. We run ours a little bit differently from some of the other COGs. So we maintain an open solicitation. Anytime that you have an idea for a project, we are excited to accept it and add it into the program. We don't do metered solicitations. We also don't cap project costs. We have toyed a little bit with the idea of capping a cost at the annual allocation, which right now stands just about 10.8 million. But have decided against that for this time to allow for some of these bigger and more intricate projects to move forward. We do have a set of guidelines that were created by our technical advisory committee and adopted by this board just about a year ago. And those guidelines include projects that get prioritized and some that we try and avoid. So we do try and avoid spending lots of dollars on state roads wherever possible. We're spending on roads that belong to all of you, that are your town roads. We try and dissuade the simple maintenance projects. So mill and pave is generally not considered eligible. It is a capital improvement program. We want these to be assets that will last for at least the 20-year period, or for at least a 20-year period, as well as will make improvements in the operations and specifically in the safety of the system in your towns. And we try and dissuade projects that may be eligible for other funding programs. So we have done bridge projects. We try and encourage, though, that the funding programs that exist specifically for those be used in those cases. We've seen some really incredible projects come out of LOTSIP though in our region. We're just about to hit 100 million in money in the ground since the program began in 2013. And we regularly receive praise from ConnDOT for the effectiveness of our ability to implement these projects. You'll see impacts of these all around the state, all around the region, but all around the state as well. Including some of the big ones that are going on right now are Bank Street here in Waterbury. This is what's known as Exchange Place Phase 2 is Bank Street. From Exchange Place down to the Interstate 84 on-ramps. It includes parts of South Main Street. In Naugatuck, the Rubber Avenue project that is, I drove through yesterday and saw the roundabout is just about complete. It looks fantastic. and operates a lot better. So, we've done some really big projects, we've done some truly transformative projects, and we're really happy to work with all of you on coming up with ideas, helping get those through the process. We also, Kate mentioned this a little bit, having Kevin and Shahadat on staff have allowed us to take a more active role in assisting you in going through that process, coming up with those designs. And we're able to move these through CONDOT a lot faster because we can address many of the comments that they will come back with before they get there. So, don't hesitate if you have questions or an interest in this program and want to learn more, contact Kate or Kevin or reach out to me, and I'm happy to get a conversation started.
Yeah, and just so that you're clear, you get 100% funding plus inspections are paid for. So like in Rubber Avenue, that's a massive, massive project for us. I've done 3 in the last 10 years. We have 3 more applications in. And don't be bashful or feel like I shouldn't apply because we have the best COG in the nation, right? As far as lots of success, we'll say, at least Connecticut. But if you don't ask, the money's going to dry up on a federal level. So don't be afraid to ask. The limitation for smaller towns is you do have to pay for the design. If you have a town engineer, that's helpful, but if you pay for the design and you have a good project and a situation that merits, real action in your town, you should look at this. And I have a major benefit from being a member of COG and coming to these meetings and pursuing these projects. They're large projects, great funding source, and you have total control. It's great.
Yeah, and just as a note on that too, it is 100% of the low bid cost, the qualified low bid cost. So if you come in with a project and an estimate is going to be 3 million and it comes back at 4, the state will cover that 4 plus the 20%, which is 10% for incidentals and 10% for contingencies. So incidentals, including things like inspection and construction management.
It's worth noting, this is one of the few grant programs, you get the money in advance.
Yes.
So the state writes you the check before you go to construction, after your low bid is awarded. The other finance piece of this that's important to note, as Rich said, it is state funded, but, and I know Jennifer doesn't love this, but we have an agreement with DOT, between the regions and DOT. And we represented this agreement to the General Assembly when the funding was first put in place for the program. So we look at it as a swap. We're entitled to this amount of money for the urbanized areas under the federal program. And that federal program is much more difficult to use for local roads for towns. And as Rich said, we just did about 100 million in 8 years in the ground. We have more on the way. However, in the 20 years prior to that, 15 years prior to that I worked in the urban program, we were only able to get about $15 million worth of projects off the ground because of the federal requirements that came along with those. So it's essentially a swap. The General Assembly approves bonded debt in an amount equal to what we would have gotten under the federal program. And then we generally agree to program the federal funds as DOT wants them programmed. So that's the swap. We let them spend the federal money because they're already leading on that and they're already complying with all those rules. So that's sort of the way it works. But I just wanted to make sure everyone understood, because I've had state legislators ask me about the program, and because at one time there was a large surplus in other regions. We had spent all ours, other regions had not. And legislators were being asked to approve new debt every year. So, and that's the other reason, because it's a debt of the state, a bonded debt for usually 20 years. That's why we require a 20-year life of any improvement. That's. Sorry, I just want to get that in.
When we present this, or when we talk about this in front of our counterparts in other states, they kind of stare back at us with open mouths. It is a truly exceptional program, and it's been highly effective, especially in this region.
Agreed. All right, are you all set, Rich?
I have one last piece, just a bit more about transit-oriented development. I'll let Nicole talk more about this when she's back in the next few months, but she really exists, her position exists to assist all of you in working between your towns and these new state funding sources around housing and density growth. So she has a ton of resources. Please don't hesitate to reach out and speak to her about it. Just to highlight, one of the things she recently completed for us is a story map highlighting the relationship between brownfields in this region and the fixed route infrastructure. And so that is the Waterbury line and the CT fast track route that goes into Bristol. And highlighting where some real opportunity exists to turn some of these brownfield sites into future transit-oriented zones.
All right, questions for Rich?
I'm done with my introduction. Yes, I have more stuff, but that's so I hope that was helpful. Like I said, I'm always happy to answer questions about how our team works and what we do. And I'm really looking forward to working with all of you on trying to tackle some of our biggest issues in the next few years.
Funding.
I do want to provide just a couple of quick updates on some funding programs. We spoke about lots of, there is not much of an additional update there other than we're always accepting projects and happy to talk to any town who has ideas or questions about it. And I did want to make mention that the build program, the federal build program, or better utilizing investments to leverage development, is currently open with applications due on February 24th. This is a major funding program. Projects tend to range between 5 and 25 million. It is an 80-20 split between federal and non-federal share. It is a very heavy lift. And so if you have an idea and would like to try and go for a build project, please let us know early and we can assist with that application process. You know, I think it is truly, it's supposed to be a multimodal program. We've seen some pushback on non-motorized elements of that. You know, so this is the continuation of what was the RAISE program. And as many of you may know, we had received an award that was then rescinded for not aligning with the new administration's ongoing targets or ongoing goals for the program. So we're happy to talk about what may be eligible in this round, as well as any assistance we can provide if you're interested in applying, but do know it is a very heavy lift to submit an application.
I'll just say, lots of is an easy lift.
Yeah.
Build grants are extremely heavy lift.
Yes. And as the city of Waterbury will tell you, just even if you get through the application phase and are awarded, the implementation of a build grant is also quite difficult. So it is something to be, be very thoughtful about if you choose to apply to it.
Next. Proceed.
All right. So the last update I want to provide today, we've been talking about this now for many months as part of the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that we were awarded just about 2 years ago now. We are nearing completion on a regional Vision Zero action plan. And so one of the last pieces I want to highlight for you before we bring that plan to you for adoption is the public facing information we've put together. And so with huge thanks to our mapping data and technology team, our communications teams, and of course my staff and transportation, we have built a hub site using the Esri Hub tool. This provides information for all of you and for the public about Vision Zero here in our region, the strategy that we're taking to address roadway deaths and serious injuries, the projects that have been programmed and how those projects are working to advance that goal, as well as resources that are available to all of you to learn more about that current best practices around roadway safety. One of the important pieces to this is the dashboard that you'll see here on the left. So this is highly filterable. It updates in real time with information from the Yukon Crash Data Repository, which is another one of those examples of where we as a state are really shining in this work. And so you can filter to see specific time periods, to see your town specifically. It provides all of this information to you in real time as you need it. And we're happy to answer questions or help you as you work with it.
All set? Questions for Rich? Wearing them down.
I know. Yeah, I promise I'll never talk this much ever again.
Let's go to
That's not true.
This year.
Yeah, exactly, right. In 2025, I'll never talk this much to you. And for our last time, I'll turn it over to Kate.
All right, thank you, Rich, and thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to let you know about one resource that is coming up. It is a lunch and learn. The state local bridge program. I do want to mention that there is a new date for this than was previously announced. On January 21st, we will be welcoming Andrew Shields from Condat, who is the program engineer for the state local bridge program, to talk about this program that was started in 1984 and is part of the state's infrastructure renewal program. We will cover program eligibility, program selection methods, and more. If you want to attend in person, we'll have lunch here starting at 11:30. The program will start at noon. You can join on Zoom if you like. There will be time for Q&A as well. So if you'd like to register, you can do so through the QR code on the screen. There is a flyer in your packet, and we have distributed this lunch and learn to our transportation technical advisory committee, which we didn't mention, but they do meet every other month. And this will be taking place during the off month of the TTAC meeting. So please join, please share with Public Works, engineering staff, other officials, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I guess we're gonna switch to Aaron, environmental planning.
Thank you, Chairman Hess. So it's been a very, very busy fall for environmental grant programs. In addition to several regional applications that our staff's been working on, and that you'll be hearing about, or you have been hearing about, and you'll hear about a little bit more in a minute. We've also been supporting a lot of your local grant efforts as well. NVCOG staff supported 13 deep recreational trails grant applications that were due yesterday, as well as several open space, Long Island Sound ecosystem, and climate resistance fund grant program applications over the past several months. There's no action on this. I just wanted to sort of highlight some of the work and acknowledge the staff that has worked on this for you all, and talk about some of the support that we can provide to you all. So, you know, we do our best to inform CEOs and relevant staff in your towns with emails and memos when we hear about grant opportunities. And no matter what your grant writing capacity is in town, we can help you submit more competitive applications. We can develop concepts and determine whether or not those concepts are eligible. Our MDT department can help you with mapping and data needs. We can help develop compelling narratives. We can review applications from a scoring perspective to ensure that they make the strongest possible case for funding. And we've had a lot of recent success combining similar municipal projects into regional applications that, you know, I think you know, help with the economies of scale and help take some of the work off of your municipal staff. So, you know, we also can write support letters as well for anything. So, you know, I just ask that you reach out to us early so that we can plan to have our staff work on them and we can schedule accordingly. And we're always happy if you know, if you have an idea for a grant application or an idea and no funding, you know, we can help you you know, figure all of that out. So please reach out to us as early as possible. Thank you.
Okay, so Christine, Climate Resilience Fund.
Yes, thank you. So this morning, we're asking the board to endorse resolution 26-04, allowing staff to apply for the CTDEP Climate Resilience Fund grant, which will continue planning for culvert and drainage upgrades in 9 municipalities. So as you may recall, NVCOG received a grant in 2023 from the first round of the Climate Resilience Fund to complete preliminary designs for 9 sites throughout the region that experience chronic flooding issues. Those towns were Ansonia, Middlebury, Naugatuck, Oxford, Seymour, Shelton, Thomaston, Waterbury, and Woolgate. And we worked closely with those municipalities and their staff to advance those projects. With this second round that's now available, NVCOG intends to apply for additional funding to advance the culvert and drainage redesigns to 100% to execute the permits and to get the bid documents ready for construction. So our hope is that we'll have a bunch of shovel-ready projects that the municipalities can either plan to bond for on the municipal level or apply for federal implementation grants. For our new CEOs in Ansonia, Middlebury, and Thomaston, I'm happy to bring you up to speed on the work we've done so far. If you have any questions, so please feel free to reach out. And at this point, we'll ask that the board endorses resolution 26-04, which empowers the executive director to sign all documents associated with applying for this grant. But I'm happy to take any questions first.
All right, questions?
So moved.
Prospect,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Household hazardous waste, Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today I'll be providing a brief update on NVCOG's household hazardous waste program, and action is required for this item. NVCOG administers a regional household hazardous waste program that serves 15 municipalities within our region. That you can see highlighted on the slide. Today, I will explain the program services contract and the action recommended to the NVCOG board. Further details of the program can be found in the HHW memo attached in your meeting packets. Under NVCOG's contract with our program's vendor named MXI, NVCOG may renew services for 2 additional 1-year time periods after our initial 3-year term ends in February of 2026. This contract renewal would be under the current fee schedule without added commitments for participating municipalities. Annually, a group of HHW stakeholders from participating municipalities meet to discuss event locations, contracts, and modifications to the program for the upcoming year. On December 4th, the HHW group met and reached consensus to recommend the contract's renewal options to the NVCOG board. As a result, NVCOG staff recommends the board act to direct NVCOG's executive director to exercise the contract's options for 2026 and 2027 at the cost set in the original base contract. I'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions? All right, Prospect,
Yes.
so moved.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Second from Shelton. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Aye.
carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ricardo,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
where are you? Oh, can't see you back there.
Hiding over here today.
All right,
Just wanted to thank everyone for attending the 2025 annual Regional Brownfield Partnership meeting held, last week. Right. All the days are smushed together. We had more than 70 attendees at the event, and it was a great success. Next slide. As a quick recap, just wanted to share some of the services that NVCOG's Brownfield team is able to provide to all member municipalities, and that's grant writing for Brownfield funding requests, project administration, technical oversight, that's working closely with the licensed environmental professionals, gathering the environmental site assessment reports, analyzing those reports, and then basically coming up with a high level next steps for those specific sites. Through our map data and technologies department, we're able to provide mapping of brownfield sites for funding requests as well. That's tapping into state DCDs as well as EPA funding. Next slide. Through the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments revolving loan fund, at the moment, we currently have some funding available for sub-grants up to $500,000, and those are for municipalities and nonprofits. We also have loan funding available up to $1 million, and those are for municipalities, nonprofits, and private entities. For both funding sources, there is no minimum. So if you guys have any questions, projects that you're considering, please definitely reach out so we could start analyzing and seeing how we could assist. I also wanted to share that recently, yesterday, DCD released their new funding awards, and Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments was successful in receiving a $200,000 award for the Pin Shop project. We'll be doing some assessment collection there. and handing the data over to the municipality to see what the next steps, viable next steps are, and through the Connecticut Brownfield Plan. So $200,000 for the Charles Bachelor site at 44-46 Swamp Hill Road in town. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions on your brownfield projects, feel free to reach out. We're more than welcome to assist. Thank you. All right.
All right, lots of number one, tied for number one Brownsfield, so for the new ones, you know, focus on those two and it'll be helpful to you. Municipal affairs, Drew.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As usual, I have the dubious distinction of being the only thing standing between you and adjournment, so I will be brief. First of all, from an emergency management perspective, we have the nonprofit security grant program and school security competitive grant program, both scheduled to open in early 2026. So reason I'm highlighting that, we don't have the details yet, is just so you can start thinking about your school security specifically. And as you are, especially for the new CEOs, as you meet with your superintendents and folks over on the school side, we'll forward more information on that at the beginning of the year. Also, local emergency operations plans, or LEOPs, are all due by January 1, 2027. They go on 2-year cycles. So same thing, as you are meeting your emergency management director, just make sure they're aware of that requirement. Failure to have an up-to-date LEOP can impact your potential for grant funding through emergency management. So, and I also put on the screen our contact for especially Region 5, which as you can see on the map in the green encompasses most of our region. Chris Bernier, for those of you that have been with the board for a long time, he has taken the place of John Field. So Chris is going to be hopefully attending our meetings in the future, but I just wanted to put his contact up there in case you have anything emergency management wise that needs immediate attention. He's always available. Next slide, please. Actually, I should say, Mr. Chairman, if there's any questions about emergency management before we move on to EPD.
All right, questions?
Thank you. So also, as part of my duties as municipal affairs director, we cover the Naugatuck Valley Corridor Economic Development District. And as part of that, we had a meeting last week with our regional representative who's based out of Philadelphia, Deborah Bevan, and she wanted me to highlight this program for you. And that is, Deborah, could you just hit the progression of the slide? So I try to be fancy this month. So fiscal year 2025 disaster supplemental grant program. The reason this is relevant is this is tied to the flooding that our region experienced on August 18th and 19th of 2024. Our regional representative wanted to encourage us to get in some applications here to address resiliency and issues related to that. So even if you were not in Oxford, Southbury, Woodbury, Seymour, the towns that really got hammered by the storm, there may be projects in your community that are eligible for funding under this. The way that FEMA awards grant funding is by a county basis. So if you're in Fairfield, New Haven, or Litchfield County, you are eligible for this funding just by virtue of the disaster hitting those counties. So there's an 80-20 match there, or 20% match from a local source would be needed. But I know we had a lot of issues with culverts and things like that would absolutely be eligible for this program. If you could just advance to the next slide, Ezra. This is kind of a brief, and I'm not going to read this because I will send this to all of you individually in a packet as to what exactly is eligible. And I hope you would share that with your town engineers and public works directors. But there are 3 different pathways. The first 2 are going to be accepted on a rolling basis in terms of applications. And the last one expires in March of 2026, although I believe that one is probably the least relevant to us from a municipal perspective. So I will follow up with more details on that. But if you are interested, based on what I've said so far, please feel free to reach out to me directly and we can start helping you with an application.
All right, thank you. Questions for Drew? All right, we will proceed to the roundtable. Is there anyone here who wants to bring up the topic for general discussion? If our luncheon was on, we just wouldn't even be here. But since we have some free time, how are all you new guys doing? Anything you want to bring up?
I just wanted to say thank you for just how friendly
your staff has been, Rick, and just every event I've been to in the last couple of weeks has just been very welcoming and opening, and the promise of question answering and helping me navigate through this process. I really enjoyed. Thank you very much.
You. Anyone else? All right, Mayor Chatfield,
Move to adjourn. Second.
any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you all. Happy holidays, folks.